becomes public domain, we need to do introductions. So, which is always hard when you're on teams to do that. But so Jason LaRock, board chair.
Fred Kenny, executive director.
Camille Lyons, assistant to the director. That's what I am.
And you guys can just randomly try to do this. Or
I'm
you can
Gina
call them.
Laro. I'm Gina Laro. I'm, I don't know, vice chair or something, vice president. I work at Co-op Insurance.
I'm Nicole McTavish. I'm a board member. I'm the superintendent at the Hannaford Career Center.
I'm Richard McCurr, and I am Middlebury Town's representative.
Sue Ritter, Middlebury College. And I'm also a board member.
I'm Chris LaPierre with the National Bank of Middlebury, and I'm also a board member.
Yeah, Rennie Perry. I'm a board member, and I'm the City of Virgins representative, and I guess also the Virgins Partnership and the Chamber.
I'm Valerie Caples. I'm the town administrator in Bristol, and I'm using a new computer and don't know how to change this title on the screen yet.
That happens. Thank you, everyone. Next item of business is any changes to our agenda and to approve our agenda. Fred, do you have any changes? Okay. Take a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, moved by
So moved.
Gina. And seconded by Chris. Excellent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion's passed. Next item of business is to approve the August minutes. Those are in your packet. Do we have?
I'll make a motion to
Do we
approve.
have a motion? Okay. Gina's made a motion and Richard is seconded. Is there any discussion, any corrections? Hearing none.
Abstain.
All those in favor? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And we have one abstention.
What's that?
Ready?
Ready.
Yep,
All
I
right,
didn't get a chance to read it.
All right, so those meeting minutes have been approved. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Fred,
Okay.
for staff activities.
And just a heads up, hopefully you saw it in the minutes, I mean, in the agenda, but we're going to be joined by the Chancellor of the Vermont State College System. So as soon as she comes in or comes on, we'll just stop where we are and go to her. So August was a bit slower for meetings, a lot fewer meetings, but you know, we were busy making adjustments to the workload with Barbara leaving. Camille's taken on a lot of that admin work, and I've taken on some of it. So making those adjustments and a lot of grant work in August to get done. We finished up all 7 of the FY24 BGS projects are done and funds distributed. So those projects are all wrapped up. We submitted 4 applications for FY25. So those have been submitted. Also submitted the Acorn Food Hub feasibility study. That was a USDA rural development grant. So we have one more invoice to submit to them, but the report is submitted, and that was in your packet just for your information. But certainly if you have any questions or concerns about it, let me know. Hey, bring it up right now if you want. We've submitted it to USDA. We haven't heard anything back from them, but and the consultant's gonna be presenting it to the Acorn board this month. And had a very popular webinar in August on, with Porter Knight on distractions during the workday. Like, we had 33 people attend that one. And we also did several municipal presentations in August. And we're pretty much wrapped up with those. Yeah, I think a couple more, but the bulk of them of those are done. Good reception at all the municipalities. They were all very happy to hear about us, and a lot of them seem to be surprised at the scope of work that we do here. So it was good to re-educate all those local municipal boards on who we are and what we do. And we talked to a couple of them about contributions, but we have to go through the regular process to get on the ballot. They can't just put us on the ballot. We have to get signatures. Continued with the annual audit. I got a note from the auditor that the audit is in good shape. He says they've gotten through quite a bit and are just closing out loose ends. And he expects to have draft audit statements to us for review next week. So that's good to have that almost wrapped up. Sure, he'll find something that we have to, some more information we have to get to him, but sounds like it's wrapping up. We're also continuing with that cybersecurity audit. They've had this machine on our system for a couple of weeks now, monitoring everything, see, you know, where our vulnerabilities are. We've all filled out audit questionnaires for them.
What drove that?
I decided we needed a cybersecurity policy or an IT policy.
Yep.
And one of the things that are suggested is that you have an audit done of your systems to make sure that, you know, nobody can get at any private information we might have on our system. And they did one of our webinars, this cybersecurity office at Champlain College, and we found out that they'll do a free cybersecurity audit. So I took advantage of that.
That's excellent.
See what it comes up with.
I'd be curious.
Yeah. Loan committee met. They started reviewing a new loan and approved an extension of an interest-only period for a borrower, and prepared the loan loss reserve report for you, which we're going to get to later. I don't know if you saw it, but August had the in the Vermont Business Magazine had the Addison County Economic Report. So myself and Phil and a few others are all we're all quoted in there. And the invites out for the Chamber's annual meeting. What is that? It's in October, I think. So sign up if you can go. It's a fun event. It's at the Virgin's Opera House, and they'll be doing their annual awards and induction into their Hall of Fame. We did submit nominations from ACEDC, and all of our nominees are winners except for one category of young professional. Person we nominated for that didn't win, but all the other ones did. Had a really good mixer. Before we get to that, any questions on the staff report? Not hearing any. Move on to the mixer. Had really good attendance, like double what we usually get, which was really nice. We had about 60 people there.
Beautiful night for it.
Yeah, it was a great night, and luckily the bees stayed away from us. We had 50 people register and 10 walk-in. 50 people that registered came. We had more than that register, but you always get a percentage that don't come. 50 that registered came, and then we had 10 walk-ins, so we had 60 people there. We had 3 staff, 8 board members, 20 member businesses, 17 partner members. Those are nonprofits that are members of ACEDC, and 9 prospective members. So those are businesses that aren't members, and 3 legislators. I heard all good comments from folks, and I followed up with those 9 prospective members about becoming members. And we'll see what happens with that. I'm just wondering if anybody has any comments or concerns about the mixer or ideas for next year. Also quiet today.
So since we did Shoreham, Middlebury, Virgins, it would only make sense to migrate towards Bristol.
What's Bristol? How about New Haven?
It works. Works for me, especially if it's on the outskirts of Middlebury.
Middlebury. Yeah, well, I talked to
Lincoln Peaks, that's right.
I talked to Lincoln Peak. Folks from Lincoln Peak were there, and I talked to them about becoming members. And I said, if you become a member, we could do our mixer at your place next year. So that would be a beautiful venue for it.
Yeah.
Nice spot. And then there's also where Shacksbury used to be. That's the whiskey place. Lost Lantern Whiskey. They're members, but we just did one there. So.
Yeah.
We'll come back to them later.
All right.
Citizen comments.
Yes, if we have nothing else about the mixer, citizen comments. This is an opportunity to raise or address issues or concerns otherwise not on the agenda. So we don't have any non-board members, but it's pending right now. But do any of you have anything that you want to bring up that's not on the agenda that
this could also be the spot where the municipal representatives, if you want, report on what's happening in your municipalities, or Nicole, what's happening at the Career Center, if there's any big updates.
Sure, I could give an update. So I think many of you know that we started a brand new program this year, a welding program. And we're very excited because not only is the class full, but half of it is full of girls. So we have a lot of non-traditional students in that class, which is very exciting. We also have a new program called STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, which is highly involved with drones and using block language to program the drones so that they run independently, and doing similar things with robots, and then doing some pre-engineering. So that class is also full, and we're very excited about that. So we're off to a really good start here this year.
Excellent.
Are you all staffed up?
We were until last night, and then we had a staff resignation. We had a new teacher teaching isn't for everyone, and that is not working out. So we will be posting a position. Our automotive technology position will be posted. So if you know anybody, let me know.
Excellent, thank you. I presume your welding class is a half day, or is it a quarter day?
Currently, yes, it's a half-day program. So the students are here for 2 hours each day for the full year.
I heard something about that the 3 sending schools have changed their schedules such that it's going to mean that some kids can't come to the Career Center. Is that true?
It's definitely true, and it's a very big problem. And anybody with any influence in Middlebury, I could sure use your help, because the Middlebury Union High School schedule has cost 50 kids to drop from career classes. It is not conducive to kids taking classes at the Career Center, and it's very problematic. Virgins and Mount Abe didn't change their schedules per se, but they have a new policy whereby kids can take classes at each other's centers. And so we're seeing a drop of kids as they go from Virgins to Mount Abe instead of from Virgins to the center. And since we're the way that Vermont works, we're the only center in Addison County allowed to offer CTE. If kids don't come here, they don't get CTE. And I'm very concerned about the implications on the trades in Addison County, because we are the primary producer of auto technicians, diesel technicians, construction technicians, natural resource loggers, you name it, we're producing those kids. And if schedules from the high school don't allow kids to access these programs, then we won't be producing people to fill those fields in Addison County. The biggest problem, currently the largest barrier though, is the new schedule, which has been implemented at Middlebury Union High School.
Nicole, this is Gina. Do you have a sense of what created the need for the scheduling change that caused this problem?
I don't have insight into why they changed the schedule. We actually worked with them over the course of the year because the intent was that the schedule was supposed to make things easier for kids, but the outcome, in fact, is completely the opposite.
Sounds like you need to be a degree granting institution.
Yeah, the state of Vermont doesn't allow technical centers to award diplomas, but we are considering, do we need to move to a full day program and compete directly with the high school? We've been reluctant to do that because we really do want to be good partners and allow kids to do both their high school and the career center. But if I don't have any authority or control over schedules which are causing kids barriers, then I have to rethink that strategy.
Let the Middlebury kids get the high school diploma from Mount Abe or Virgins.
Correct. The students,
I don't
all
we
the
don't
students.
talk about it, but this
Yeah.
has been an ongoing issue with the career center for as long as I can remember. Middlebury monkeying with their schedule and causing problems with the career center. It's not the first time it's taken place, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much how much time was spent determining the ramifications on students who wanted to attend career classes. It doesn't seem like that was a part of what happened. I could go on I could go on a whole tangent, and maybe someday we can block some time here, but there are actually state laws in the state of Vermont that prohibit high schools from having classes which create barriers to attending CTE, but there's no regulatory mechanism to enforce those regulations.
Nicole, do you know where in the school administration this change originates?
Yeah, so I think what might have happened is the ACSD had 3 superintendents in 3 years. Peter was there, then they had an interim for a year, and now we have Wendy. So the change initiated with the high school administration. And I'm not sure that there was, because of the changing superintendents, I'm not sure there was enough oversight of that process to ask all the hard questions that might have otherwise been asked. And I do not know the extent to which the school board is knowledgeable or was involved in approval of the schedule change. My sense is that most of the school boards in Addison County are supportive of CTE, but the schedule change happened at a lower level, at the building-based level.
Okay.
I think Val had take that.
Val?
Yeah, boy, that's tough to compete with, but there's a lot going on in Bristol right now. But the thing I want to highlight is that on Monday, the new core executive director, Courtney Radford, and I are going to Montpelier to present our downtown renewal presentation. And along with that, Monday night's select board meeting coming up, we will be adopting Bristol's very first capital improvement plan, which is kind of a big deal. And that's one reason for that. I mean, it's been in the works for quite a while, but since this is a downtown renewal process required that a capital improvement plan be adopted. So I kind of put it on the fast track, and that's on Monday night's agenda, and we're presenting that at Monday's downtown board meeting. I predict everything's going to go very smoothly, but it's an important step that we need to take.
Excellent.
And by the way,
Does
Courtney is
anyone
doing a great job as the new director. Bristol Core has really turned a page as an organization in terms of their process. They've really adopted the Main Street 4-prong program, and they're really doing amazing work. So it's pretty exciting to watch the transformation.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. Joe?
Yeah, I just have a brief update from regional planning, just three quick things. One of which is, well, they made the bad decision, put me in charge, so hopefully it will continue to exist a year from now. But aside from that, there's sort of two quick things I wanted to mention. One of which is that we're currently working on the regional plan. And so we actually had a presentation at our last meeting of the draft version of the transportation section of the regional plan. So that's something that's ongoing in different sections we'll be looking at as we sort of like move towards actually looking at the full regional plan, which will happen in 2025. And the other thing that I thought was notable is that, as probably most people know, that there was some reform done to Act 250 with Act 250 exemptions. And also there's going to be a new map and land use board and things like that. And so the other thing is that the Regional Planning Commission is beginning the conversations of thinking about what is our role in this new process of determining these different tiers. Essentially, there's going to be a new map with tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 lands. Tier 3 will have the most restrictions. Tier 1A will have the least restrictions to development, and there'll be a continuum between that. And so we're starting to consider our role in that, because regional planning commissions have a role in that under the statute. So that's what we've been up to.
Excellent.
You know, one of those sections of the regional plan is the economic development section. So we'll be our economic development. We have a joint committee between the planning commission and us, and we'll be working on updating that section at some point. I got to talk to Adam about how we're going to proceed with that, and it will, you know, while it updates the regional plan, it also is going to take that ACEDC plan that we have and narrow it down for just Addison County.
It's great.
That'll be a bit of a process, but
Excellent.
Thanks.
Any other comments? All right, so I'll turn it back to you, Fred, for staffing update.
all right, just quickly on a staffing update, I have brought Camille on as a permanent full-time employee. And I've advertised for the office operations position, Barbara's position, and I've only received 3 resumes so far. It's been out there for a couple of weeks. But I'll start interviewing those 3 people next week. I just wanted to move that along quickly. And that's it on that.
Loan loss reserve.
Yeah, so this is an annual exercise that we do to set aside funds in our revolving loan fund to make sure we have a loan loss reserve. Just a bit of a background, our revolving loan fund, this is the USDA funded one. It was capitalized by 4 loans from USDA Rural Development over the years, starting in 1994, I think it was, and the latest one in 2021. The loans from USDA to us are 30-year notes at 1% interest. We pay 4 principal and interest payments each year to them, totaling about $50,000 right out of the fund. Details on everything about the revolving loan fund and our IRPs are in the budget document. There's several tabs in the budget document that give you details on the IRP and our revolving loan fund. So the loan loss reserve is an amount of our loan fund that's kept in reserve to ensure that we have an adequate balance to service the loans from USDA. And so we can ensure that we can pay that $50,000 every year. USDA rules require a minimum of a 6% loan loss reserve on each loan. When we set a new policy on this, the board decided to have a minimum of a 7% loan loss reserve and have it higher depending on the annual analysis that we do. So we do an analysis of each loan, looking at the business strength, their loan performance, and their financial condition based on their financials. And then that analysis is reviewed by the loan committee, and they make a recommendation to you on the loan loss reserve. So this round, we had one loan that was paid off in fiscal 24, and we had 2 loans added during fiscal 24, and then we've had 1 loan added in fiscal 25 to date. So we now have 19 active loans.
Excellent. So we need to take action on this to approve this as a board.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for Fred on this or a motion? Actually, motion would be in order at this point.
Hey, Fred, like, if I'm part of the loan loss reserve committee or whatever the loan committee is, am I still allowed to make the motion to approve, or does it need to be someone external who moves to approve, or can anyone move to approve?
No, you can make the motion, Gina.
Okay, I would move that we approve the loan loss reserve recommendations.
Second.
Second.
Do we have a second? So Sue seconded that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Raising your hand. All those opposed signify by saying nay or raise your hand. Aye. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion has passed. I believe our guest has arrived. Welcome.
Thank you. Oh.
Huh?
Morning. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it. Should I just jump in and start?
Let me do a little intro, Chancellor. So Dr. Elizabeth Mauch, do I have that right? I should know.
It's Mauk. It's
Mauch,
okay.
right? Mauch, yeah.
Mauk.
Was appointed as the Chancellor of the Vermont State College System on the beginning of this year. He lives here in Addison County and previously served as president of Bethany College and served as a Fulbright specialist in Poland as well. She's also served as the Dean of the College of Education at Bloomsburg University. And she has a master's and a PhD in mathematics from Lehigh University and did her undergrad work at Moravian College. So welcome, Chancellor. Great to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I appreciate you joining me today. I'm trying to I'm trying to introduce myself around the state, but also get the good news of the Vermont State Colleges system around to the state, talk to folks about what we're doing, see if there are any partnership opportunities, and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. And yes, I started at the Vermont State Colleges about 8.5 months ago now, and you folks are the beneficiaries of me just having had finished a retreat with my board. And so I have the entire Vermont State Colleges Vision 2030 that we just talked about. And so you will be the first external group to hear this. It is not necessarily new ideas or ideas that we haven't shared internally, but just as a VSC Vision 2030, this is the first time we've wrapped it together. So just to start, the mission of the Vermont State Colleges system is for the benefit of Vermont. The Vermont State Colleges system strives to have accessible, affordable, high quality, and relevant education and remain financially sustainable. And what I have done with Vision 2030 is to really look at those points and say, okay, what is it that we really need to do in order to really meet that first part of the mission of being for the benefit of Vermont? Because to me, when we're the benefit of Vermont, we're really not only measuring our success by our students, but also by our faculty and staff success, the community's success, businesses success, and on and on. So the Vision 2030 really is that we will ensure that every Vermonter, regardless of their income or location, can benefit and participate in higher education, and that we as the Vermont State Colleges will assure that it is affordable and accessible. And I tried to really distill down what it was we were talking about so that we could make people instantly recognize how important this is. The Vermont State Colleges is two strong institutions. It is what is now called Vermont State University, but it's also the Community College of Vermont. So when we talk about every Vermonter having access, certainly anyone can. They can start and take a class or two if that is what is important to them, or get a credential, or stack things and get an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's degree. So really, we are the access institution for folks, not only when they are first leaving high school, but frankly, throughout their entire life. And so that's something we're really excited about. We have a number of priority projects this year, which will focus on transfer from CCV to VTSU. While one can already do that, it hasn't really been frictionless over these last few years. So we're really looking to do that. And we're looking to really focus on some programs that can be affordable for our students, but also will help to keep us financially sustainable and meet the workforce needs of the state. We are I'm looking to start a Chancellor's Innovation Fund, which will be launched here on September 23rd. It's for internal stakeholders to really tell us, where do you see the future of the Vermont State Colleges and how do you see us getting there? And we're also looking at some sort of underlying pieces like our computer. We're going to totally revolutionize our computer systems, not even so much because we want to, but because, of course, we will have to do that. And this I need to get. So what I told the board on Tuesday, was, what does that mean, the Vision 2030 mean? And so by 2030, what that means is that we're going to guarantee affordability for every student. We're going to set the standard for accessible education. We as a system will achieve financial resilience and sustainability, which, as you all probably have heard in the news the last few years, we have not always been able to achieve that. And that we're going to achieve significant enrollment growth. One of my board members said, I can't believe I'm sitting here listening to an enrollment growth strategy, but really in the end, 50% of the high school students are not going to college. And so we certainly can look at avenues to include more students in that. Adult students constantly need upskilling or something that we certainly can help to make easier and have already started to do. So, and frankly, what I like to call new Vermonters, there are people who live outside of Vermont who would really love to come here and study and maybe stay and have a career in a lifetime. And so we're looking to do that as well. So lots of different types of students, and then also lots of different types of modalities, from in-person all the way to totally asynchronous learning. So that is my statement. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What's
I
your,
know-
go ahead, Gina. Go ahead.
I know it was a board retreat. It's to come up with the vision. I'm curious if there was any conversation about kind of even how you start down the path of guaranteeing affordability.
One of the projects that we are looking to do is to continue to work with the legislature. So the legislature and the governor have, before I got here, even as, again, I'm sure you all know, have really invested in public higher education. Our message going to the legislature and has already started to be is, we so appreciate everything they've done, and that we want to continue this partnership with the state. We want to continue to provide opportunities for everyone in the state to participate in higher education. But the fact of the matter is that many folks can't afford a college education. I mean, they can't afford it to the point of they won't even think about it, because they think it is so far out of reach. And so we are looking to partner with the legislature and continue to partner with them to talk about making a higher education affordable, but also I'm going to use the word easy. That's probably not the right word, but making it so that it is easy to figure out how to get to higher ed. One of the things we certainly talked a lot about over these last few days was these challenges that our students have. So even once someone decides they would like to participate in higher ed, even trying to figure out what kind of finances you could put together or what kinds of pieces of information you need is very difficult. So that's something that we're going to look to do. I do believe this is a symbiotic relationship. So I'm not just looking at this as, oh, we just need the funding. What I'm looking at this as is a partnership to say, we know students are just struggling to afford a higher education. How can we partner with the legislature to ensure that we have the kind of workforce that we need to continue to make Vermont move forward? And I see it as a partnership. So that's kind of the one of the basic pieces.
Joe?
Thank you so much, Chancellor. I really appreciate what you've been talking about here. I have a question actually about enrollment growth, because I think I was similar to your board member there. Like enrollment growth. I have a background in higher ed and have seen how enrollment shrinkage has impacted institutions that I've been part of in the past. And so, I guess part of my observation, just before, because I want to hear more about your strategy here. Part of my observation being in higher ed has been that, it seems like there's like two reasons perhaps that kids don't end up going into college, one of which being that they feel that there's nothing there for them. They have particular interest, maybe it's in the trades or maybe it's in something like that they feel is just not really met there, or that the cost benefit ratio of what they would get, they would pay so much, as you were just saying, affordability in comparison to their ultimate return on investment, that they're choosing to opt out, or that they're just sort of unfamiliar with college as a thing and how to access it and how to navigate it, that they either feel uncomfortable in the first place, perhaps going there, or within their first year, there's barriers for them that they end up, dropping out of the program because of that. And so, I'm curious, what your observations are about, why people aren't enrolling, and how you think that Vermont state colleges can buck that trend and begin bringing more people into the higher ed system.
Thank you. And yes, those are certainly all reasons that I know that folks do not participate in the higher ed experience. Certainly, I don't think that higher ed broadly has shown what its value is. On the trades, the Vermont State Colleges system does include what was Vermont Technical College. So we do have plumbing programs and electrical engineering programs and all of those that, would have traditionally been called the trades. We also have advanced manufacturing, which is a modern day sort of take on that, as you all will know. But certainly that is one piece that is a challenge. Is I would say precisely what you just talked about is one of the big reasons that students don't go to college, is they just don't see themselves there. And so one of the things we are going to do and have started to do is really look at what is, to me, what is rural education? What does that mean? What does it mean for students in these little school districts to be thinking about college and seeing themselves in college? And how can we work with them now when they're in high school, or frankly, middle school is usually where you have to start this, so that they do see a value in higher education as they're moving forward, but not honestly in the traditional ways. So there are things like, early college and degree, what do we call it? But early college and dual enrollment, and those things don't resonate with a lot of students. Like they, again, I can take an English class as the same piece. So what are those experiences we're really trying to think about that we can work on for those students so that they do see that higher education is important? I would take this back to, we've got to show them what they're doing is important now so that they see our importance in their lives later. And so those are some of the things we're starting to work on. We have a program called Road to Success, which really does focus on rural education. And we're just launching that now. So we're very excited about that initiative. But then also just generally, we have had some programs also for middle school students to start to show them what is college, and CCV has been really instrumental in that. So I don't think there's a one-stop shop. I don't think there is, a one size fits all. I think we've got to do a lot of different strategies and a lot of different pieces to incentivize those students. As I said, 50% of the students in the state of Vermont, more than that, don't go on to higher education. However, I think also in higher ed, where a lot of successes are is looking at non-traditional students. So the 21-year-old who's out there working and says, hey, I would really like to move forward in my career. How can we ensure we're meeting their needs? And those are pieces that we've also looked at doing. So lots of different things. And I am optimistic. We did have a pretty significant enrollment gain this year, but we are not resting on our laurels. We have a lot of plans for continued enrollment growth. And yes, as a person who's been in higher ed for 25 years, to say enrollment growth, I do understand everybody behind me going, are you sure? But thank
you
you
so much. Thank you.
So,
Doctor, it's great to meet you. I'm the President's Chief of Staff at Middlebury College, so it's always nice to meet
Hello.
a fellow traveler and play a little higher ed misery poker once in a while. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I totally understand all of your challenges. We talk about access every single day and affordability, and it's just really, really tough nut to crack. Just wondering, I could ask you so many questions, but just in terms of, yes, that's a big risk and a challenge, affordability, of course. But once the students are there, I have two questions. How are you, or are you seeing any challenges or risks around student support services, wraparound services for students? Number one. Number two is, what are your curricular enrollment trends? Where are students gravitating to in terms of their academic choices? And three is graduation rates, which we're also focusing on too. Sorry, bit long question.
Thank you for your question. And my daughter is a sophomore at Middlebury, so I'm
Yay!
well versed. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's how I got here. She told her father and I she was moving to Vermont, and I was in Kansas, and she said, I am not going to be at a college where my mother is the president. So, I just moved to Vermont, but it's okay.
Welcome. And it sounds like you
you.
were from Pennsylvania at some point. I'm from PA too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was I was in Pennsylvania before that. Where in Pennsylvania?
Right outside Philly.
Oh yeah, me too. So it was mostly Allentown's where I was from.
Excellent.
Anyway, yeah, no, excellent questions. On the I'll start with the wraparound services. We started a new advising model, I think just before I got here, and I think we're in the second year. I'm sorry. I started in January, which messes me up with the academic calendar. They had started it during my first year, and then we're now in the second year. We're doing some analysis on that, really looking at taking every freshman's or every person that's starting at the college and ensuring that there are academic advisors, other enrollment advisors, and all of this. And it's like a group of folks around a student. We did notice some successes. We frankly found some things we can improve. And so we're looking to improve that right now. We know in higher ed that students are coming with more needs that we have to meet, and so we're very mindful of this. One of the objectives for this next Vision 2030 is to look at holistic student support services and how we can ensure that we're doing that. So that is certainly one thing we're doing. I would say we are still early game, as many people are. We've done it for many years. Just this notion of really thinking of it, all of the services together, is something that's new for us. Our enrollment trends were significantly up this year. I will say that with the caveat that they had been significantly down because of all of the challenges that the system had the year before. However, the numbers were very, very encouraging to us. We were up on the majority of the campuses. There was just one where we were down. Up in what I would call on. We don't have a unified online cohort yet, but at Vermont State University, up in online students. So right now, Vermont State University is 19% students who are identifying as being fully online. And we're seeing growth in that mode. And then Vermont, the Community College of Vermont already is about 73% online. So we are noticing increases in that. We're also, however, noticing increases in students who are fully online who wouldn't maybe mind having a class every now and then. We were significantly up also in out-of-state students. We had made a map that it does seem as if students would like to come to Vermont. Again, Sue, as I said, my daughter wanted to come to Vermont, so I can see why 18-year-olds would want to do that. So we're seeing that. So right now they're up. We are not resting on our laurels, because I do suspect that some of the gains are as a result of losses from the year before. But this online piece is really something that we're seeing a lot of students gravitating towards. Even I don't even know what to call students anymore. I mean, we have students who come out of high school and are 18 and have done our early college program and did a lot of online learning, and they just do 4 years of online learning. Now, mind you, I'm not sure if that's just because we just went through COVID and that's the way these students learned, and so that will go away. But the trends are, I find it's a blending of students now. And I don't know if I answered everything.
I'm gonna find you for lunch.
That'd be great.
You have time. Yeah.
Elizabeth, you just touched on what was my question, and I assume your in-state enrollment is a high percentage of your enrollment. Do you know what the percentage is in-state versus out-of-state?
I do. At the Vermont State University, it's around 70%. I think we're actually even a little higher this year. At the Community College of Vermont, it's about 95% in-state. With the other 5%, and this is kind of interesting to us, being a lot of international students. So that's something we have found to be very interesting at the Community College of Vermont. It's not typically out-of-state students, it's international students at the Community College of Vermont. The 70-30 on the Vermont State University is sort of an in-state, out-of-state thing. We don't have as many international students at Vermont State.
You also mentioned the Advanced Manufacturing Center,
Yes.
which is at the Randolph Center, what used to be VTC. And I visited that twice, and it's an amazing resource for Vermont. And I would recommend to the board, if you ever have the opportunity, if you're in Randolph, or make the opportunity to go to Randolph and visit the Advanced Manufacturing Center. It's an incredible place. We could even arrange to have a board meeting there or something.
We would love that. If you get in touch with me, I can make sure we can get you hooked up there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I will just say, I'll say thank you then. And really, another part of this is me reaching out to say, we would really like to, partner in any way we can. I have found that usually if I throw things out, people sometimes will say, hey, how about this or that? So, I know that we've got to anticipate and address the changing needs here in Vermont. And so we can't always know what those needs are unless we talk to a lot of people. So if you're, if a couple days from now something hits you, please send me an email. I would be so happy to match you up with someone who maybe we can work together. But thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much
Well,
and good luck.
Thank you.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Good guest speaker, Fred. That was good. Have her to meet her.
Thank you. That's my third time hearing. She came to Rotary and she did a presentation at the last RDC meeting as well. So
She's making the
rounds.
That's for
Yeah.
sure. All right. Do we need an executive session at all?
No, I don't think so.
And therefore, we don't need to block in any time for actions on matters discussed in executive session.
No.
So unless anyone has anything that they'd like to bring up, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this point.
Can I throw something out there? What do folks think about maybe an ACEDC letter to the Middlebury High School about this issue with the scheduling? That's something you want to?
Well, normally
Yeah,
I'd say yes. I think that's something that I'm sure there's ongoing discussions about how that will rectify itself.
Well,
Next
and
year, there's
having,
nothing they can really do about it this year.
Right.
yeah, and having served on that board, it is a problem and it needs to be fixed, but I would really love to understand the basis of why the board made the scheduling change to begin with.
Exactly.
And, because there's always two sides. So
Background.
before I would
try
want
to
to
find-
sign a letter saying, hey, fix this, I'd want to understand what drove the decision.
Is there a
Right.
movement towards fixing it? Did we lose her? She might have gotten off. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Nicole's gone.
Is she still on? No.
She's doing Leadership Champlain. It's in the chat. She had to leave at 8:15 to get to Basin Harbor for 9 because she's starting a Leadership Champlain class today.
Got it.
I did that. I can do some more research, find out some more background about why this came about. Obviously, they can't fix it for this year and be for next school
Right.
year, but it's certainly going to have a huge impact on the career center. I mean, losing 50 students, that's like half their students.
Well, so, the question is, though, how many FTEs is that? Because, there's a bunch of, that model is extremely complicated.
Yeah.
Their funding's based on a 6-semester rolling average.
Right.
So you won't see the financial impact of this, right off until next year and then beyond. Full-time equivalents
Of students.
Yeah. So that's, it's 6 hours.
Agreed 100%. Jason, that's kind of what I was trying to get at. On the flip side, I don't know the data sources that Elizabeth just gave us. But the thought that 50% of high school graduates aren't looking to go on to higher education means we need to make sure they're grounded in other skills that allow them to be viable parts of our community and earn their living. And so doing something at the high school level that prevents that is, that's, again, I think someone said or maybe it was Elizabeth who said, Nicole who said, I don't think that they made the decision with much view of kind of like the downstream effect. So.
I mean, it's just puzzling to me that a decision like that, which just seems, the Hanover Career Center is right there. We've been partnering with them forever. And this sort of came out of nowhere without much. We're all obviously only hearing one side of it, but it seems really odd that they made a decision with that much impact without conferring or collaborating or trying to find an alternative solution. It's just odd to me. And maybe it is because the superintendent turnover was, nobody had their eye on the ball, or somebody in the building just said, we're doing this, and they, I don't know, but that's concerning.
The fact that
I
the
would,
fact that
I
it
would just,
violates state law bugs me.
Well, so that's, yeah, like I said, this isn't the first time this happened.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
it's, you know, well, while sitting on the career center board, you know, that's always been an ongoing conversation while I was there. The move to IB was very detrimental,
Yeah.
to the career center and how they work together. There's some other underlying things that we really, you know, that I'm sure are at play that we shouldn't be speculating in an open meeting, but I think that this is something those two organizations really, and those two leadership bodies need to work out
Yeah.
before we as an outside entity, while we have a stake in the game, I don't think it's appropriate for us to weigh in at this point,
I would agree.
because it is pretty new to them as well.
Yeah.
so if there's nothing else.
Another way we could pursue it is, we could pursue it through the Addison County Workforce Alliance. Has a direct interest in this.
Yeah. Kind of seated on that board.
Yeah, and there's people from the high school and the career center on the Addison County Workforce
Oh,
Alliance.
that's excellent. All right. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, everybody.
All
Thank
those in
you.
favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion has
Nay.
carried, meeting's
Just
adjourned.
kidding.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day.
Have a good one. Bye.